Justin Herbert is the most overrated player in the NFL, or at least the most overprotected player in the NFL. The Ravens pumped the brakes on that Lions contender talk. I'm Robin Lundberg here with Dakota London. And Dakota, Baltimore just totally destroys Detroit. Did Lamar Jackson and company expose the Lions?
Exposed? I don't know if exposed is the right word, because exposed comes with expectations. I think that's the bigger issue, is that the Lions fell into the land of expectations. After the Eagles lost, after San Fran lost, everybody was looking at like, oh, are the Lions now the best team in the NFC? And yeah, they're not. And they got absolutely trashed. And I feel like when you're playing like where nobody's expecting you to be that good, or you're just like a sleeper team, everything was good for the Lions. But as soon as people started to expect them to perform at a high level, they showed their true colors. Now, I don't think the Ravens are that much better than Detroit, but it just shows when you're playing with expectations, it's just another level. And that's why you got teams like Philly and San Fran that are the class of the NFC, because they play with expectations every week.
Well, Lamar Jackson is on another level. Like, when you look at the quarterbacks in this game, there's a big gap between Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff, despite the fact that Goff has played well. And in some ways, I think Lamar has become maybe the most underrated player in the league, in the sense that he's nitpicked all the time. People question his contract. When it comes to just pure individual impact on the field, he's up there amongst the best players in the entire league, a former and maybe future MVP, and absolutely a top 5 quarterback. So I think the first thing it did was remind everybody who Lamar Jackson is, and that the Ravens themselves are true contenders. When it comes to the Lions front, I never totally bought into the hype. They're a cute little team, as you mentioned, but they hadn't really beaten anybody coming into this. And their win over the Chiefs was the least impressive big win I've ever seen. Shout out to Kadarius Toney's drops in that one.
Yeah, I think the future for Detroit is promising, but see, as you said about Lamar is great. I think he's elevated to the point where his success in the regular season means nothing. It's more about what is he going to do in the postseason, and that's a great place to be in, but it's good to always be reminded of just how great he can be. Speaking of quarterbacks, one did not do so well in the Chiefs-Chargers games, and is leading to many to wondering, all right, what's going on in LA? Is it the head coach? Is it the quarterback? Robin, who do you think is more to blame?
Look, I don't know who's more to blame per se. The blame is always going to go to the coach first. That's easier. I'm not saying that Brandon Staley has done a great job, but at some point the attention has to go to Justin Herbert as well. He's, I just said Lamar Jackson may be the most underrated player in the NFL the way he's talked about. Justin Herbert is the most overrated player in the NFL, or at least the most overprotected player in the NFL, because I'm constantly hearing about anything that goes wrong there is everybody else's fault but his. He looks the part, and he's good, don't get me wrong, but at some point, if you're supposed to be one of the elite QBs in the league, you got to come through in these big-time showdowns against other elite teams. You got to be able to hold leads. You got to put together winning seasons. All those recipes that we typically ask for on the resume of a true great quarterback, and thus far, Justin Herbert has done nothing but hypotheticals.
I agree with you on Herbert. I feel like he's absolutely overrated. And I feel like because he has all the prototypical look and feel of what a quarterback should be, that's what people really fall in love with. But I'm giving a lot of blame to the coach. Brandon Staley, you're supposed to be a defensive mastermind, as they say, and your defense can't stop anything. So to go through that first half where Patrick Mahomes has over 300 yards, Travis Kelce's getting whatever he wants, that's a problem as a head coach. And then on top of that, your offense is too inconsistent. I feel like they don't have their identity. I don't know if they want to be a passing team, a running team, and that makes it that much harder to be successful and sustain drives. And then if you can't stop anybody, then you really aren't going to have much luck, especially against a team like Kansas City. So I feel like both are to blame, but if I had to choose, I'm 100% going to coach.
Well, look, he'll be the first one to get the blame from the organization, that's for sure. The Buffalo Bills, not blameless in their loss, of course, to the New England Patriots. That's a rough one. Bill Belichick's 300th win. And just another in the, list of things that make you go, are the Bills actually for real? So are they pretenders or contenders?
This one is weird for me because one is a divisional game. Divisional games are always played tough. But kind of similar to how I feel about Herbert, I kind of feel the same thing about Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen has all the physical tools to be a very elite quarterback, but his decision making sometimes, which you've seen in past season, including this season, is like, I feel like there's more there to be desired from this Buffalo Bills team. I'm not convinced they're a contender. I think they have the benefit of the fact that the AFC, other than Kansas City and Baltimore, every other team in the AFC that you would consider to be a legit team has question marks. We just saw what happened to the Dolphins against Philly. So it's just like, they might be a contender just because there's not a lot of other options in the AFC. We haven't even talked about the Bengals and what's going on with them. So they may be a de facto contender, but in terms of like having faith in them to be successful, I'm going to say no.
They're in the mix. They're not a top tier contender, which is what you would have thought going into the season. And, last season was the expectation for them as well. I disagree on Josh Allen, though. I think they're over-reliant on Josh Allen. The reason that we believe in the Bills is because you think that Allen can almost do everything out there. He can run between the tackles. He can take off and run. He can throw the ball down the field. Yeah, there's some turnovers, but when you look at the supporting cast there, it's not like there's a litany of support around Allen. Outside of Stephon Diggs, it's kind of mid. So I think they're overly reliant on Josh Allen.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that there isn't enough criticism about the coaching then, to which you just said that they're too reliant on Allen?
Well, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's also the roster construction too, right? Like you talk about Davis is a decent deep threat at times, but Cook is the running. There's not a bunch of personnel out there that's really scaring you. And as far as the Bills go, I think the reason that we believe in them is Josh Allen. So he's sort of in a lose-lose situation. Yeah, because, if he gets all the way there and fails, it's like it's on you. But if he doesn't get there, it's still on him, when really he's the reason we're even talking about it.